Ergudi Church at Belgaum. The Adventist message first reached this place in the year 1961. A beautiful church stands now right beside the remains of the old church. The church looks very beautiful. In Belgaum, we have two churches, one in Azamnagar and the other one in Vadgaon. This is Azamnagar Church. Originally, 3 plots were bought, one after the other, and dedicated to construct the church. But the church was not built in any of these plots. In the first place, a school classroom came up, and in the second piece of land, a hostel was built up. The third piece of land was sold to someone. A sum of rupees 36 lakhs was collected, and all that money was spent on this new church on the top of the section office. No laymen were present at the time of buying and selling of this land. A minimum of 3 quotations should be collected to build the church, but no such arrangements were made. The plan was to build a soundproof church to avoid the noise pollution arising from the road and garages beside. But that remained an ivory tower. We suffer a lot here with too much of noise. During rainy season, water seeps in and the footwear drench in rainwater without a cover at the stairs where we leave the footwear. Why was the land sold? Because someone encroached the land and laid half the foundation there? The responsible people could not watch over a land that was just 300 meters away from the office. The encroacher was paid a sum of rupees 5 lakhs and sent away. But after some time, the same encroacher starts claiming the land back again. Finally, it was sold to him and an amount of rupees 36 lakhs was collected. What happened to the second installment of rupees 25 lakhs sent by the Australian missionaries to construct the church? The Australian missionaries, Pastor David Lamb and team, contributed to this project. They gave money in 2 installments. First was to buy a piece of land and second one to construct the church. However, the church was constructed using the money that was collected by selling the land that was bought for the same purpose. Sum of rupees 20 lakhs was spent to buy the land, and on selling it, they received rupees 36 lakhs. Thus far, we don't know what happened to the money that was sent to the construction of the church. This is the beautiful church in Vadgaon at Belgaum. There is no pastor to this church, but the principal takes care of this church for last few years. The church doesn't open on Friday evenings. However, on Saturday morning, a few people gather to have some prayers and go back. The 5-6 people who gather here have singing, prayer, maybe some message by one of the teachers and get back home. This is Aladkatti Church, supposed to be taken care by Pastor Arthur, an ordained minister. It was built in the year 1999, and nobody has visited this church. The junk, the fallen in the church, shows the fact that nobody has visited this church for years and years. There's a lot of cobweb around. Probably the entire junk of the surrounding community is all dumped here. Nobody cares. There is no door. What we know from the study is that none of his church are functional. He doesn't visit those churches, and he has become very inactive, but he is very active in church politics. This is Jivapu Church taken care by Pastor Arthur. Church is in a very bad condition. Very dirty it looks, as you can see. And part of it has become a godown. There are cement bags kept at one corner. The other side there are pipes. There is dirt, all the garbage. And on the other side, a kitchen and a bed to sleep. Part of the church area has been converted into a cowshed. This is Madamgiri Church. The church looks a bit okay with whitewash, but there's a lot of garbage around the church, and these utensils, big dishes kept inside the church, belong to a temple of a certain Hindu goddess in the nearby vicinity. They do not keep them in their own temples, but they can fill such things in the churches, and the pastors do not care. This is Shilti Bavi Church, taken care by one Mr. Pakirappa. He doesn't visit there at all. That's not a place of worship when we take a look at that. It's a place of gambling. People sit there, chat, pass their time, sit and play cards, drink, smoke, do all nasty things. This is simply a garbage dumping place. The church also has got 2 rooms at the back for pastors to stay. Pastor doesn't stay there. Some Hindu family stays, and when we went inside, we saw this family having photos of Hindu gods in the house. This is Hirebudnur Church, taken care by Pakirappa. There's dirt all around the church. We asked for the keys of the church to open it and check inside, but the man who keeps the key denied us entry, saying there's no key and his son has taken it. He really didn't want us to get into the church because there were things that he didn't want us to know and see. So we went into the window. Through the window we just peeped in, and we could see all his business material into the church. A good understanding between the church member and the pastor. Person in this picture is the lay member taking care of this church at Hirebudnur. He is a pujari at a Hindu goddess temple, and he represents this church. A Hindu pujari who worships idols comes to our church to represent the church and be in different committees and boards. We are in Amtur. This is Amtur Church. Huduga, ಹೆಸರೇನಪ್ಪ ನಿಂದು? ಪ್ರವೀಣ್, ನಿಂದು? ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲ್. ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾವಾರ? ಶನಿವಾರ. ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾರು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೇಯರ್ಗಿಲ್ಲಿ? ಯಾರು ಬರ್ತಾರೋ? This church at Amtur is not regularly visited by the pastor. The pastor Hanumant is taking care of this church. He doesn't visit the church regularly. There's a confusion. The children say he visits on Saturdays in the evening, but these ladies here, they say he visits on Fridays. Whatever may be the case, he must be visiting on both these days. But the church is not maintained. It's not repaired, not cleaned. This is not a good condition of the church. This is a church at Sangolli village. The pastor to take care of this is Hanumant Shivanappa. He doesn't visit this church, and the number of wooden planks kept in the church are an indication that worship doesn't go on here. This is Garjur Church, known for its notoriety of keeping elephant god idol inside the church for 11 days. A few years ago, the church was divided about whether to keep the idol inside or not, but however, for 11 days, this church is known to have the Ganesh idol inside the church. They also, the locals here, play cards, they gamble inside the church. This all just sums up to the fact that nobody visits, nobody cares. So this is just an open place for people to have entertainment. The countdown cakes around the church, the dirt inside. It has made it so much an open place for anyone to enter in and do whatever they want to do. They sit there, they eat pan, they chew gutka, and then they spit around through the windows, inside, wherever they like. This is another horrible state of the church. Very unkempt, dirty Girial church near Kittur. There's a lot of grass grown on the top of the church, and the church door is jammed. The church doesn't seem to be open for a long time. There are probably members, but they don't gather. There's only one family probably that is interested in the church, and that's the lady that has come with the key to open the church. And what we find inside is just pieces of stones, the construction material, the utensils to cook food for big programs. Probably they belong to some other god, Hindu god temples. It's very dirty inside. The pastor of the church, Pastor Shyam Sundar, doesn't visit this church, never opens the door, and there are no worships, no gatherings, and this is the result of it. This is Belgaum Church, established in the year 2002. The church is taken care by Pastor Shyam Sundar. The worship goes on here on Sunday evenings. There are faithful people who come together to worship God. The church looks clean and nice. We can see the sun symbol on the pulpit right behind the cross. This may be a popular belief among the people, the local church members, but as Adventists, pastors, we need to educate these people of importance of all such symbols, the things they represent. But we have not done enough to thwart such beliefs away. There seems to be some influence of Roman Catholicism or New Apostolic influence. We do not know, but the symbol is not right in its place. One of the church members of the Goa church was given some flood relief of rupees 10,000, and that money, out of 10,000, some 8,000 rupees was collected back by the church pastor. ಕೇಳಲ್ಪಟ್ನಿಲ್ಲ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಧನ ಸಹಾಯ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಧನ ಸಹಾಯ ಬಂದ್ರಿ, ನಾ ಫೋಟೋ ಹೊಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿನೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಂತ್ರಿ. ಎದ್ರ ಸಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರದು, ಯಾವ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ? ಮನಿ ಬಿದ್ದಿರ್ತದ. ಮಳಿಯಿಂದ ಮನಿ ಬಿದ್ದಿತ್ತು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬಿದ್ದಿತ್ತಂತ್ರಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕೊಡಾದ್ಲೆ ಹೊಳ್ಳಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ರೊಕ್ಕ ಇಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರ. ಪೂರ್ತಿ 10,000 ಇಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರ? 8,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಇಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರ. ವಾಪಸ್ ಯಾರು ಇಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು? ಪಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಶ್ಯಾಮ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಹೆಸರೇನ್ರಿ? ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಯಶವಂತ್ ಸುರೇಶ್ ಮುದ್ಕನ್ ಅವ್ರಿ. This is Paschapur Church, presently taken care by one Pastor Nagesh. He has a big task to do. He has to win the confidence of the people. It's been very tough for him probably. The previous pastor who took care of the church cheated the people of money, running in tunes of lakhs. The people are upset. He collected money from the members of Paschapur Church, members of Ghataprabha Church, and also a nearby place called Pamaldini, to a tune of 7 to 8 lakh rupees. And one fine day, he took a transfer and ran away from here. The people still question when would their money come back, and they're still waiting for this pastor. He's absconding. They're still waiting for this money. And to win the confidence of these people, getting them back to the church is a tough job for the present pastor. And hardly anyone meets here in the church. There are vessels of a Hindu goddess temple kept in the church. This all shows how fallen the church of Paschapur is. This is Siddha Samudra Church. This is taken care by one Pastor Kariyappa. He also takes care of Kallapur Church. Both of these churches are not taken care by Pastor Karyappa as the way it should be taken care. No worships run here. And presently at Siddha Samudra Church, this church has become a house. People live inside with all their belongings. Right behind the church there was an open space. Now there is a house standing on it. Some family has built a house, and we do not know why the church authorities, the people in the section, are not aware. If they are aware, why they have not taken an action about this. This is church at Tatwangi. This church is taken care by Pastor Hanmant. The church looks good. It's neat and beautiful with garden around. However, the church pastor registered the entire piece of land on his wife's name and also has built 2 houses on the same land, though knowing that the land belongs to the Seventh-day Adventist mission. This fact is known to most of the leaders who visited this church. The present administration in Goa West Karnataka Section also knows about it. The union knows about it, but no one is willing to do anything about this. This is Bidroli Church under the custody of Pastor Hanmant. This is one of the worst cases that we have seen. The church is in a dilapidated condition, in a horrible state. Nobody has cared to fix it up. The flooring is all completely gone. The roof is flown away to the winds. The wood is all eaten up by the termites. The pastors are not caring for the church members. Under such conditions, worship is an impossible thing. But no efforts to fix it, to run the church, is being done here. For years, no one has visited this place. The women we met, they keep on waiting for someone to come address those issues of the church, revamp, be with them, pray for them, conduct some worship. That their waiting has been disappointed. They have not seen any pastor for years. This is another case of negligence at Budrikati Church. There was one pastor by name Sunath. The locals only remember his name, and he was the pastor here. Once he left, there is no one to take care of this church. No one has visited them. We do not know who is the pastor of this church. This is on the Sabbath we are here. And the women that we met, they were not happy at all. They called us as people who would give bath. The innocent women do not know that this bath is something higher, something that wins them heaven. They do not know it as baptism. The church is very dirty and shabby. The roof is gone, and no one gathers here in the church. This has been a pathetic church, the usual scene here, and we really feel pity for the kind of administration that we have in the section. This is Markumbi Church, with some rift between the church members and the church members of other denominations with regard to the passage. The church normally is got a good membership, but then has issues not taken care and settled by the higher officers. The church members at Markumbi want to have a communion service, but the pastor of the church has been postponing it, and it is repeatedly postponed for nearly 2.5 years. This is the Nayanagar Church, constructed right beside 2 Hindu temples, and the church members do not attend the church. That's because the pastor is not visiting. This church is assigned to one Pastor Gangappa, and this one family, the lady of that family, on her force, sometimes he visited this place. Otherwise, it is her daughter-in-law who takes care of the church. They do not seem to be meeting in this church because the church shows that it is dirty, and this is the lady who has to take care of this church and also clean the church. The skin hangings outside the church and the dirt around, the symbols of Hindu beliefs all show the influence of Hindu festivities around, Hindu influence on the church, and the people who used to attend the church are discouraged by the community now to attend the church. This is Suthagatti Church, taken care by John Appayanava. John Appayanava never visits this church, never conducts any prayer meeting here, nor worship. There are no worships here at all, neither on Saturday nor on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He visits homes and gets back. The people taking care of this church clean this church as and when they like. However, they have converted this partially their home. They have their things kept here, and they are the ones who whitewash it, celebrate Christmas. The pastor doesn't care to visit. Whatever could be the problem, it's very clear. The people who are supposed to involve are not involving in caring for the church. There is an upper hand by the people taking care of the church, wanting to control the church. But what are we doing? What are we supposed to be doing? At Suthagatti Church, the local family that is taking care of the church has taken total control of the church building, the church land, and they do not wish the pastors to come over here to the church. However, the section office, the president, the secretary have a duty to come, talk, convince. But then the last time they visited was 5 to 6 years ago, and they have not turned up again. Who would care for this church? This is a church supposed to be taken care by John Appayanava, the Lakkundi church, completely abandoned, nobody to care, just kept open all the time. Dogs come and stay there inside. The roof is opened up. The church is very, very dirty. No members come and meet here. This is Patihal Church, taken care by Pastor John Appayanava. He doesn't visit this church. As a result, there is a pastor from another denomination who visits this church on Sunday. And there's this one boy who opposed this worship on Sunday, and he was not welcomed by the other members of the church. The other members of the church simply wanted some sort of a prayer worship. They were right on their part because the actual church pastor who is supposed to come is not here. This is a church at Gardoli. Pastor Suresh Stephen is the person who manages the church. He also manages another 2 churches, Kamatgi Koppa and Dod Koppa churches, which do not exist anymore because they're all fallen and there's no one to take care of them, to repair them or something. Elder Premnath of this church has filled in some life here, and the church is alive. This is Mattikopa Church, taken care by Rupa Lewis. Sister Rupa Lewis also takes care of Mutwad Church and one more church. She is the wife of late Pastor Lewis. She visits this church, but not to open this church or run any worship in the church. The church is closed mostly. She visits the houses around and goes back home. Mostly her visits are on Monday. That's what we come to know through the reliable sources here in the local area. This is Honnediba Church. A church assigned to one pastor, Elisha. This church is not open for years again. There's no pastor to take care of this church, and there are no members meeting here in this church. The surroundings of this church are cleaned by one Lingayat lady, a lady that belongs to another religion. So she has some interest, some devotion towards the church. She cleans up the church. This is Chikangroli Church. The usual scene here: no cleanliness, no whitewash. The church door frame looks very bad in condition. There is filth all over the church flooring. It's not cleaned for years. No pastors visit this church, and they do not know who is the president, who is supposed to be looking after the welfare of the church, who is supposed to renovate, fix these issues up. The few men that we met, they were concerned about the worship, prayers, but then people are not hearing them, the pastors, the concerned officers. There's no one to listen to this cry of the locals. This is New Linganmat, Seventh Adventist Church, ಹೊಸ ಲಿಂಗನ್ಮಠ. ದೇವರ ಘನತೆಗಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ ಬೋಧಕ ವಿಲಿಯಂ ಜಾರ್ಜ್, Quiet Hour, 14 May 2004. This church is not open for a very long time. This is locked. The lock itself has rusted out. Peeping through the windows. ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕಾರ 10-12 ವರ್ಷ ಅದನ್ನು ಚಾವಿನ ತೆಗೆದಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೌದಲ್ಲ? ಯಾರು ಹೋಗುವರು, ಯಾರು ಕಳುಹಿಸಲಿ, ಯಾರು ಹೋಗುವರು, ಯಾರು ಕಳುಹಿಸಲಿ, ಪ್ರಭು ಕಳಿಸು ಕಳಿಸು ನನ್ನ, ನಾ